What's going on, everybody? This is Kerry Wood, sportsandswag.com, Sports and Swag podcast. Another edition. Want to come back and talk about these NBA playoffs, man. The last few days of the playoffs have been pretty entertaining to a certain degree, and then, of course, some of the probably about a half and half right now. We got two really interesting series, and then we got two series that, pretty much over, to be honest with you. Cleveland Cavaliers took a commanding 3-0 lead tonight over the Toronto Raptors. Third consecutive blowout. The Raptors, all I can do is shake my head, man. It's not the fact that, expect the Raptors to win this series or anything like that, but expect this team to fight. Expect them to try to win the series, right? I mean, this team, they played a little bit better tonight. But, again, fourth quarter, they, crumbled again. DeMar DeRozan pretty much seems to be the leader of that. I mean, you can't play better than that, man, in front of your home crowd. I don't know what to say. I mean, as much as they stunk it up first two games in Cleveland, I don't know, man. I don't know which one was the worst loss. I mean, you come back and get blown out in the fourth quarter. Well, you lose that game by 20 at home as well. I don't know. I don't know what to say, but DeMar DeRozan, man. I mean, this is a guy that, I don't know if it's the pressure getting to him. Maybe it's the fact that he's a little bit easier to defend in the playoffs because you know where he's going. I mean, he doesn't have that deep range on that 3-pointer or anything. He a lot of times would rather shoot the mid-range shot, which there's nothing wrong with that. But in order for guys to kind of maybe defend him a different way, he's gonna have to prove he can knock down that 3-pointer. But I don't know, man. It's got to be so much more than just him not hitting the shot. It's got to be mental at this point. I mean, this is a guy that was very instrumental on the Olympic team. Okay, I mean, this is a guy that was an Olympian playing like this right now in the playoffs. I don't know if I've ever seen it before, man. I mean, we've seen players have bad games. This has been 3 years of bad for Toronto, for their big two guys, Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. It's the third consecutive playoff where we're sitting there scratching our head wondering what in the world is wrong with them. And, for Toronto to make the moves that they made at the trade deadline, getting PJ Tucker, getting Serge Ibaka, two guys that we thought could, help them in defending LeBron while keeping guys that can score on the floor. Man, I mean, that has not worked at all. I mean, it has been seemingly totally the opposite. And this team, I don't know, man. I mean, of course, this series is over. I mean, Toronto has, I don't know if they're going to win a game. But we know for a fact, unless something extremely weird happens, they're not going to win 4. So, I don't know. There's a lot to be thought through, to think about once this playoff series is over for the Toronto Raptors. Big time problems going on up there, man. Of course, the other series that really not much going on right now, the Utah Jazz and Golden State Warriors. The Warriors up 2-0 going to Utah, going to Salt Lake City tomorrow night. That'll be the only game of the day, actually, tomorrow here on Saturday. So, hopefully the Jazz can get something going at home. Would love to see them win both those games, but if they can at least win one, I think it would do them a lot. It'll be really huge for them. With this, they're a good basketball team, but they're an up and coming team. This Utah team that going to be looking toward the future. This is not their year to contend for any championships or anything like that, but the future is bright there in Salt Lake City. There's no question about that. But the Golden State Warriors are going to move on, like I say, unless something weird happens. And we hope that doesn't happen, because if something weird, it's going to be an injury or something like that. So we definitely hope that's not the case. Speaking of injuries, the San Antonio Spurs losing Tony Parker the other night. Man, probably one of the worst injuries I've ever seen as far as the timing. When you can think about the type player Tony Parker has been over his career. Seeing him on the floor holding his knee, with his leg or whatever, you knew at that moment he knew it was bad. Excuse me. You knew it was bad, but of course we hope for the best, but the season-ending injury that's gonna, I think, require surgery. So Spurs are without their floor general, but didn't look like it tonight, did it? Did not look like it. This game was so predictable to a certain degree, man. The Rockets seemingly had all of the advantages going back home. They proved they could win in San Antonio. I mean, they did it in impressive fashion. And then Tony Parker, despite losing, Tony Parker gets hurt. They say, oh, well, you know what? Houston got things going their way now. Man, there's no way San Antonio is going to go into Houston and win that game without Tony Parker, right? Think again. I mean, that is, we talk about talent. I mean, talent wins championships. There's no question about it. But talent, you have to have a mental toughness as well. And that is the reason why, the number one reason why you see San Antonio where they are today. They are, no question, the best franchise in the NBA. I mean, I know what Golden State is doing right now, but Golden State has only been doing it for about 3 or 4 years. This is a San Antonio franchise that has been doing it 20 years. 20 plus. And that mindset means a lot. I mean, and when they're playing a team like Houston where, it doesn't matter, it almost seems like it doesn't matter who the coach is. The mindset of teams like Houston, a team like the LA Clippers against a team like San Antonio is just such a mismatch. And I think that's, more than anything else, I think that's what you saw tonight, because the Spurs looked prepared. They came in, their game plan that Pop set for them, they followed it to a T. The Rockets looked disorganized. Now, don't get me wrong, San Antonio had a lot to do with that. The Spurs took them out of their game with the way they were playing. I mean, leaving Pau Gasol at the rim as opposed to have him, maybe follow Clint Capella on those pick and rolls, having him lay back and, meeting James Harden at the rim, if Harden or, Patrick Beverly or Eric Gordon or whoever it was driving to the hoop, those guys were meeting him at the rim, and it was countless block shots. If it wasn't Pau Gasol, it was LaMarcus Aldridge. If it wasn't Aldridge, it was David Lee. All of those guys had phenomenal games on the interior because they were not allowing Houston to get the ball all the way to the hoop, or if they did, they were rejecting the shot. So basically the Rockets allowed for them to be taken out of the game by what the Spurs were doing. A team with mental toughness, more mental toughness, is gonna, I don't know, to me, handle that situation a little bit differently. Because one thing, the Spurs are giving that mid-range shot, but of course we know that, that's kind of against the way D'Antoni wants to play the game. Mike D'Antoni wants it to be threes or layups, and that's the way they played it all season. Well, they won 55 games like that, but in the playoffs, man, those shots are a lot harder to come by. So you got to take what the defense gives you, and the Rockets failed to do that. That affected them on both sides of the floor. Countless open shots to Danny Green, in key situations, and where, they were possibly, actually making a run, and then there'll be a key three by Danny Green or a key play by Simmons, who had an excellent game, who's been an enforcer. I mean, a guy that's, in a lot of ways, has changed this series with his play. I mean, the Rockets have just, I don't know, it is a mindset that, quite frankly, the Rockets don't have yet. And I don't know if they can get that. I don't know if they can find that mindset within a series. I don't know if they can. But we'll see what happens. After that blowout win Monday night, the Rockets have just, pretty much stunk it up, even though they played hard. I'll give them that. But, starting that fourth quarter, down 5 in San Antonio with a chance to go up 2-0, the Rockets have folded. Can they get it back? We'll see. Again, that game goes off on Sunday, which will be game 4. And the other series that is pretty competitive right now, the Washington Wizards still trail 2-1 to Boston, but, you still have to sit here and wonder how in the world are they down 2-1 when they probably should be up 2-1, maybe even up 3-0, blowing double-digit leads in Boston the way they did. Man, Tuesday night's more explainable. Isaiah Thomas, 53 points on his sister's birthday. Man. I mean, how incredible is that? That type game fell on his sister's birthday. It's unbelievable how this guy has played with all of this going on in his life. Flying back and forth to the Pacific Northwest, and coming back and playing, and then flying back and going doing this and going doing that. And of course, dealing with the grief and the pain of losing a sister. For him to play the way he has played, man, it has just been unbelievable. It's been a joy to watch. But you have to wonder, man, how in the world did Washington lose that game the other night? I'm telling you have to wonder, it's divine intervention. I mean, it was just, I don't know if you could have gotten a Washington All-Star team of an all-time Washington team with guys from the Bullets like Wes Unseld and Elgin Baylor and all of those guys. I don't know if that team would have beaten Boston that night. I don't know. I don't know if they would have. That was one of the most amazing performances in Celtics history and probably NBA playoff history for the win that game in overtime like that was just unbelievable. But then, of course, the Washington Wizards did come back and get game 3 Thursday night in impressive fashion, blowing out Boston. So now here we sit 2-1. So who's going to win this series? Well, if you read my piece on sportsandswag.com, please, if you have not, please go by and check it out. I picked Boston to win this series. I picked them to win it in 7, and I'm going to stick with that simply because, again, we're going to go back to this same two words I've been talking about: mental toughness, that mindset. Now, Boston can't, we can't compare them to San Antonio. But I think one thing we can compare to Boston is, one thing we can say about Boston is they give it everything they've got every single night. I don't know if we've seen that from Washington. Brad Stevens is a master of getting the absolute max out of his ball players, and Scott Brooks. I'm not saying Scott Brooks is a bad coach, but I don't know if we frankly get that on a nightly basis from his ball clubs. And I think you can trace that back to his days in Oklahoma City as well. I mean, the Wizards are clearly the more talented team, at least offensively. They have more ways to score than Boston does. But Boston has found a way to just kind of hang around in those first two games and then find a way to win it at the end. That is mental toughness. I mean, the Wizards did not have that mental toughness to finish those two games off, or at least to finish one of them off. So, that's pretty much the reason I thought Boston would win this series. And so we got, 2 games to 1. Even if Washington wins this series, wins game 4, we're still looking at a tie series, Boston still having home court advantage. We go back, the same thing happens game 5. I mean, is Washington going to be able to finish that game off? I don't know. If you're a Wizard fan, you would like to think that they would. But, I don't know. They haven't proven it yet. They really haven't. I mean, even if you look back to the Atlanta series, while Atlanta, of course, is a good ball club, Washington was clearly the better team in that series, and every game besides game 6 went right down to the wire. So, I don't know. We'll see if we can get the best out of this Washington team before this series is over. I don't know. We'll see. So, again, very interesting series going on there. Cannot wait. I think it's going 7. I think it's definitely going 7 games. And if it does, man, you imagine that game 7 in Boston, man, Isaiah Thomas, John Wall, man, you thought they fought last night. Kelly Oubre taking offense to that screen by Kelly Olynyk. Man, I'm telling you, that series is getting really hot. The officials are going to be really trying to take control. Probably going to be a tightly called game. Probably going to be a lot of fouls. I don't know, a game like that could favor Boston if it goes down like that. We'll see. Kelly Oubre, man. I mean, has this guy ever taken a hard screen before? I mean, he took offense to that screen. I mean, if Kelly Oubre took offense to that screen, and then Patrick Beverley, I mean, let me put it like this: if Kelly Oubre reacted to that screen from Olynyk like he did, then how should Patrick Beverley have reacted to that screen that Steven Adams from the Oklahoma City Thunder, the one that he put on him in the first round? How should he have reacted? If Oubre is going to come at Olynyk like that, man, I mean, Beverly should have won and got his gun and shot Steven Adams. I mean, Kelly Oubre is a youngster. He's only 20 years old, I think. He's only been in the league. This is his second season. Only played 1 year in college, so I guess that's where that comes from pretty much. We all know Patrick Beverly is a bulldog. You're not going to really bother him for real. I don't know, man. That tempers flaring. Huge performances by the marquee players, man. That series is looking fantastic. Game 7, man. I'm itching for that. Game 5, Game 4, Game 5, Game 6, going to be good love as well. But, like I say, I'm calling it right now, man. I'm calling it right now. Game 7 in Boston should be unbelievable. Hopefully we can get a lot more of that in the other series as well. Maybe not in the Houston series, man. Hopefully my Rockets can get themselves together. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not feeling very confident in it right now. Just knowing, again, I'm going to go back to that, what I've been talking about here in this podcast tonight. Mental toughness. Do the Rockets have it? They haven't over the years. They're going to have to prove that they have it tonight. Sunday night. And try and even that series up. Should be very interesting. And one thing's for sure. We're going to be right back here to talk about that. We're going to be right back here to talk about all the games. There's only one game Saturday, but there are going to be 3 on Sunday. And we're going to go and talk about each one of them and break them down for you. Again, my name is Kerry Wood. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, man. This is the beginning stages of it. We're going to make it a lot bigger. Hopefully take it where we can go live here in the near future. But until then, man, please check out the website, sportsandswag.com. A lot of great content going to be going on there. A lot of great content already on there for you to kind of dig into and see what Sports and Swag is all about, man. Again, I appreciate you joining me, listening to me here on Spreaker.com. If you haven't, please follow me here on Spreaker.com. Follow me on Twitter. Pretty simple, Sports and Swag. Google Plus. Like the Facebook page. Facebook page is growing slowly but surely. Getting people to join and like the page on a daily basis. So liking that. Not as fast as I'd like it to be, but it's coming. So again, tell your friends about us. Please join us again on this podcast. We're going to be back here Sunday night, man. We're going to talk about the rest of these NBA games. Got content coming on the website as well again over the weekend. Again, I'm Kerry Wood, Mr. Sports and Swag. I'm out.